Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, September 19th. We are in a very weird position because we are celebrating this Death Knight event, Knights of the Frozen Throne event, and now they want me to get 5 Tavern Brawl victories. So then it really comes down to which of the Death Knight characters were really good, because I don't remember any of them. Let's try the Druid and just see. I don't play enough Death Knight hero replacement cards since they're particularly late game cards that you'd play.
Malfurion the Pestilent versus Frost Lich Jaina.
But 5 Tavern Brawls in any instance is a huge annoyance.
Fear those who wield it.
And what sucked here,
the circle of life is
you didn't even get this Tavern Brawl challenge, or I didn't get the Tavern Brawl challenge until I had already played 300 Tavern Brawl cards. So I had to first play a bunch of games, and play for over an hour to even unlock this second part, and that's really annoying. What isn't annoying is that I have gone on a unimportant news, or what I think is unimportant news, diet as far as video game news. And because of that, let's see, this one, and then we do this one. And then I end the turn. I really only have games to talk about. So there's a pretty good collection of bad games on Steam that I have to deal with right now. Interesting, this one does not consider itself a Trent, however. These are Trents. No? What does this guy do? Whenever you draw a minion, add a copy of it to your hand. So we've got a game on Steam called Labyrinth of Refrain, Coven of Darkness. Developer is Nippon Ichi Software, or NIS America is the publisher. What I believe this is, it's a rated M tagged with sexual content dungeon crawler, I believe. I'm trying to get through. Wow, it is like 5 videos that they have. They are really pushing this one. It's a dungeon crawler. It's animated a little bit better looking than what you normally would see. Might have some small RPG effects to it. It has some visual novel style story to it. If you wanted to play a dungeon crawler, I wouldn't be surprised if Labyrinth of Refrain might be the pick for you. It's a weird thing. Yeah, it has like rated M, partial nudity, sexual themes, sexual language. It's mostly positive. 76% of 13 user reviews came out September 18th, yesterday.
Where my trees at?
Let's see what I want to do. Let's take that one. What else is there really to say about this one? It's 57 achievements, $49.99. It's really expensive, and it's got a decent amount of DLC that seems like it's not super expensive DLC. The digital art book is $5, and then there's several packs that seem like they probably just add items There really is a question. Do you want to play a dungeon crawler game though? Because I don't think you do. Most people, I'd say you probably don't. And you could play Sakura Dungeon, or for $20, or you could play Mary Skelter Nightmares for $25. Gotta open that one and make sure that one's on my list. Conception 2. Like, I'm looking at just the games that are being recommended instead of this game, and the price point seems pretty high. Okay, so the question I guess will come down to, how can I quickly kill my weapon? There's a game called The Heiress that's $4. There's one that's called Killing Time that's $1.99. There's a game called Momero Chronicles that is $20. I'm just opening all of these. There's Operation Abyss New Tokyo for $20. There's one called Final Battle for $6.99. There's one called Nalogi, Nalogi 2 for $1.99. There's one called Mega Dimensional Neptunia 7 for $40. And Criminal Girls Invite Only for $19.99. And Hyperdimension Noir Goddess Blackheart Neptunia for $29.99. So the price tag, assuming all of those are dungeon crawlers, which they probably aren't, let's just be fair, and assume that they aren't all actually dungeon crawlers, they still run into an issue of this game at $54.65 of, well, that's the digital limited edition. $49.99 for the base game is just really expensive. I'll put it on my wish list, but almost certainly not gonna happen. There's better anime style games out there that you could get, and I don't really care what you've got to offer there. I don't think it's worth an extra $30 or $40 compared to the competition. Most of the ones that I opened so far look like they're JRPGs instead of dungeon crawlers, or RPGs instead of dungeon crawlers. But there really isn't too much difference between an RPG and a dungeon crawler. If anything, I'd say an RPG is a better version of a dungeon crawler, and dungeon crawlers can't, to me at least, sell themselves as being, well, this is a simplistic or easier way, and so you don't have to do all those RPG things. Playing Borderlands 2 relatively recently, like, the last thing I would want is for the level design in Borderlands 2 to be ripped out and you just are going through a very generic dungeon fighting a very generic enemies. That's just not something that would catch my eye at all as far as an improvement. Maybe I would play some kind of cell phone game version of Borderlands 2 as a side thing to level up my character. So yeah, if you could maybe you could use some kind of cell phone game to do a simplistic dungeon crawler to level up your characters, which would have been very nice. If there was some kind of save files or mods out there to just have each of the characters at max level for Borderlands 2, so because you've played it on a console before, and that makes sense, that would be cool. But even at max level, you'd probably still not have much of a different experience or entertaining experience. You'd probably just be ruining the experience for yourself. Next we have a asset flip game on Steam called Jump and Run Don't Fall. There's a lot of bad games I'm going to cover today. It's $5.99. We don't really have anything more to say about it. It's a 3D infinite runner game using just some basic polygons and basic Unity things. I'm not sure how much you even call it an asset flip, honestly.
Pain or suffering, I can't decide.
Am I supposed to be playing cards? No, I'm just supposed to be winning. Should I call a game that just uses basic polygons as an asset flip? Probably not. I mean, it is using a very basic skybox world, but that too may be just by default in Unity. So I need to limit asset flip games to games that look like they actually have assets in them.
Shadowy thoughts.
My beautiful creations.
Let's see. Let's see. Next we have a game called KAI Entity. It looks like it's just a polygon game of some sort. Doesn't look terrible. It just looks like it's missing textures and polish. And really what it just boils down to is it is a 3D asteroids game where you're moving from platform to platform. Enemies start attacking you, and you're in this bullet hell asteroids-esque game. And again, this is one of these games that someone death row for my hand. K Entity is 20% off for 79 cents. So I think at that price, if you wanted to see what looks like a student project, this probably is in level with that. Something where a second-year video game programmer could make this without actually having to purchase any assets or have an artist or really have much of a story or a game. But most game players would have no interest in it, so let's just move on. Next we have a game on Steam, and I use game here in quotes, called Desktop Tree. Grow a mini tree on your desktop and watch it grow every day. So the idea is this is just like a widget on your computer of a tree. Ridiculous. 14 achievements, 15% off for 84 cents. No, thank you. +2 in life steal. I played out of order. This one is very weird. The game Transference, which was advertised at E3, it's from Ubisoft, and it has just been snuck out on Steam with no real, real advertisement or anything. I believe this is a game that, is it Shia LaBeouf or some famous person was behind? Let's see. They started a whole company around it. Still struggling to find a way to win. Let's try Warrior. I just have to go through all of them. This game has a not recommended review. Terrible in VR. Developers know and looking into it. To turn on VR, you have to launch the game in non-VR mode, then turn on VR mode in the menu and restart the game, which is weird and confusing.
I am the frozen
Next,
of the
not recommended, says if it was only remotely playable using the Oculus Touch controllers.
world and rule its ashes.
It has a bad controller scheme. This is some kind of VR. Transference is a VR horror game of some sort, and like Ubisoft is just kind of pooping it out. The only positive review I've seen so far is the one for somebody who received it for free. Couldn't get past the effing Uplay crap. Kept telling me that I wasn't authorized to play the game. I really wanted this game because of the but the Uplay forced I'll skip it. So yeah, it's got Uplay in it. It's just like a really bad release, and Ubisoft is clearly more interested in they're clearly more interested in forcing people on the Uplay than they are having a good game, it seems. Transference is $24.99. I have to wishlist it to keep an eye on it, but like I'm not sure I could play this even if it. I guess you could play it in non-VR mode. Yes, that's what they said at E3. But it never looked super interesting. Right now, it has 15 user reviews and 40% are positive. So, and it came out yesterday. So that is a very bad launch. So yeah, I assume Ubisoft is just abandoning it. I'll put it on the wish list, keep an eye on it, and probably by the end of the year, when we're gonna do an end of the year live stream and look at all the games on my wish list that are old and that are below mixed reviews, and at that point I'm going to decide what games are worth keeping and what games need to leave the list. Next we have a game on Steam called Apocalyptic Car Wars. So far looks like it's a little bit of a simplistic game, driving around on a basic map with not very much and fighting other cars. Yeah, it looks too simplistic to be interesting. 20 Steam achievements, early access, 15% off, $1.69. And it's part of bundles of games, and anytime you see these games that there's like buy 11 games at a super price bundles, what this one is in. Actually, it's in 3 different bundles. You can kind of tell that this is not a game.
Time passes.
Interesting. 2 titles have been excluded because of based on my preferences. So what were the 2 games that were filtered? Let's see. I cannot tell because it's so dark. I always thought that was a dumb system. Let's see what these 2 games are that somehow have been filtered out. Oops, you must log in to see this content. Oops, you must log in to see this content.
What now?
Their dimming feature totally fails here. I cannot highlight the text. I cannot see it. I can't So like I have no idea why my filter, why am I not logged into Steam? I guess maybe not. And that's why it's getting filtered out, because I don't have anything specifically filtered out, I don't think. I looked at that because there definitely was an instance where some things are by default getting filtered out now. Interesting. Well, yeah, that I'll have to investigate that a little bit more. TechRaptor has an article, Marvel Spider-Man review, Activision no more. Now, I've heard people make the argument that Spider-Man really is just them putting Spider-Man texture on the what was the name of the game that they were making before this? On top of Infamous's gameplay, basically? Yeah, it was Infamous. I'm pretty sure. But that's not really a bad thing. And most people really like most of the things in Spider-Man. TechRaptor is giving an 8.0 great. The pros are flowing combat and heartfelt narrative, and comic references galore. The cons, that's one victory. 4 more to go. Derivative mechanics, clunky stealth missions, and challenge tokens. Next we have a game on Steam called Final Days. It's a top-down twin-stick shooter. It looks not terrible on first glance. It's actually 81% positive with 22 user reviews. It's a shame that I have to judge games based on such a small number of reviews, but that's alright. It's a dark top-down twin-stick shooter. You have like a flashlight and a cone of vision, so that there's not a ton of things on the screen at any point. And I would say the user interface is a little simplistic looking. It has 82 Steam achievements, unfortunately, and it's $7.99. And between that price and the number of achievements, I kind of feel like this is a achievement game and not a real game. And it's the only game from this developer, and it's not visually appealing enough to get over the fact that it is just a Steam achievement game, or just a simplistic top-down twin-stick shooter. So I'm gonna close that tab. TechRaptor has another article. 16 gambling commissioners, including Washington State's, raised concerns on loot boxes. So EA said they were gonna fight the loot boxes in one country, and pretty much without in less than a week, several other countries got together and agreed that they're all going to look at it. So 16 people, one from Latvia, Czech Republic, Isle of Man, France, Spain, Malta, Jersey, Gibraltar, Ireland, Portugal. Let's see. Norwegian, Norway, Netherlands, the UK, Poland, Austria, and Washington State. So a lot of European countries certainly in there all got together and signed a letter. When you list the entire list of people who signed it, I could see some people say, well, those aren't the real important countries. That was a group of small countries all got together. But when you put it that 16 countries got together, you'd probably get a lot more influence if it was the entirety of the United States on a federal level who had signed it, and China or Japan or Russia. Like, when you start to get some of the bigger, just in size countries starting to Russia, like South Korea would be a big one to sign on that too, because I imagine there's a lot of gaming that happens in South Korea. Moving on, we have the Bard's Tale 4 Borrows Deep on Steam. Unfortunately, it is 1 day out, came out yesterday, and it has 45% of 205 user reviews are positive. So people aren't liking it, which is perhaps a small shame, depending on it, because I believe this was the developer who said that if this game sold well, he would try and buy back Interplay, which I thought was a probably bad idea, because if you lost control of Interplay the first time, what have you changed that would make it so that you could buy it back and run it well? Like, unless there is a rather like notorious story of how you were tricked out of ownership of your company, you probably lost it for a relatively good reason. I'm just gonna go ahead and play that. Do that. I'm looking at a video of the Bard's Tale 4, and it seems like it's a little bit older looking game for a brand new game, but otherwise it seems like it's maybe a bit of a mess of an interface for an RPG. Not what people typically, I think, would expect. Let's see, the standard edition for Bard's Tale 4 is $35, and the premium edition is $50 roughly, and the platinum edition is $65, and the ultimate edition is $80 roughly, so maybe that is the problem. Let's see what the difference is.
What now? Warriors of the frozen wastes.
Seems like what you get is several items and several digital items, like art books, source books, with the premium edition. Then you get more. Seems like the platinum edition doesn't really change anything for what you get. And then the ultimate edition doesn't seem like it changes too much. Maybe you get copies of the old Bard's Tale game. So let's see why people are not liking it. Let's see. There we go. So we have a review. A game is, as a game taken on its own merit, it's mediocre at best. As a sequel to the Bard's Tale trilogy, it's trash. Don't waste your money. Sadly, as a Kickstarter backer, I wasted hundreds of dollars on this garbage. And that is... So, don't support Kickstarters, definitely. The next part of this says edit. So a developer asked me to elaborate on why I call the game mediocre, but I can't reply to his question directly, so I can only respond here. Which, that seems like a flaw in the system. I will take that free victory though. I was a beta tester, and I spent weeks playing the beta, feeding back bugs and issues and problems with the game's design and systems, and on release, the only change I see from all of the beta feedback was an increase from 4 active skills from 3. But the number of skills wasn't really the issue, it was the entire skill system making the player choices irrelevant. Game performance is also a huge problem. The game doesn't run at all for many people for a variety of reasons, including Windows usernames, as well as hardware support problems. For me, the game almost is unplayable because of motion sickness, again something that was reported over and over again by multiple beta testers but remains unchanged in the release version. I have an extremely high-end gaming rig capable of running any of 160 plus frames per second, and yet it struggles to get 40 in the Bard's Tale 4, which combined with horribly low field of view and effects like motion blur combined to give me a headache and sickness after about 10 minutes of playing, something which no other game has ever done before. The game isn't without its merits. The world is well imagined, voice acting and music well done, and some of the dungeons quite fun, but the skill system is awful and makes character progression meaningless. Combat systems stifling, restrictive, boring, and unfun, and the game is full of bugs and crashes. I fully expect the puzzle weapon CTDs from beta to not be addressed, seeing as I see so little of the other beta problems fixed. Combined with the performance issue, it just makes the game for a game I don't want to play. So yeah, a lot of people not happy with the Bard's Tale 4, which actually kind of makes me happy because then I don't have to think about going back and playing any of the previous Bard's Tale games. Or maybe I do, because the Bard's Tale 1 in comparison is 79% positive, and it came out in 2009.
You take wrong candle.
And yeah, I don't even see Bard's Tale 2 or 3 on this as a list. So yeah, I'm not even gonna wishlist Bard's Tale 4. It seems like it's such a terrible mess. I would watch, this is a point where Giant Bomb would be cool to watch them play the game and say, hey, yeah, this really sucks, this really sucks, this really sucks, but that's kind of all I have to say about it.
Winter is here.
This one attacks a random enemy. Next we have a game on Steam called Absolute Adventure 0. It looks like it is MS Paint cut and paste graphics. It just looks like garbage. Early access 15% off for $2.54. No thank you. Close that tab. Next we have a game called Verlet Swing, V-E-R-L-E-T. It says it brings you to a energetic swinging in a world that would be best described as a fever dream. Swing faster, don't crash, and reach your goals as fast as possible. This one is positive 92% for 13 user reviews. So what this looks like is somebody has taken a bunch of garbage and made a getting over it with Benet Foddy style game, except for this time, instead of instead of just using a hammer to get yourself from point A to point B, you're using a tether swing rope. The concept of swinging isn't bad, but the concept of just having random assets in your game I think kind of is. And honestly, if I was going to play a game where I'm swinging, I expect that to be one of several ways I can maneuver myself. Let's see, Bionic Commando Rearmed and Bionic Commando the Remake, both games that were very much around the ability to swing, and while I did swing a lot, it certainly would have been a lot of an annoyance if that was the only thing I had done throughout that whole game. And honestly, if you're gonna swing in a game, why not play Spider-Man? Yeah. So, I'm not sure Spider-Man's even on PC. It may just be a PlayStation exclusive completely. Yeah, I can't recommend Verlet Swing. Even though it's positive, I think people probably wouldn't know what they're getting into there, and you might like it, but there's probably better games out there that would let you swing if all you care about is swinging. And it's kind of questionable why you would only care about swinging. Let's see.
The dark path
I'm running out of...
for the master.
I have a full collection of people on the field. Next we have a game called Speed Brawl. Let's see. Speed Brawl is a 2D combat racer about moving fast and hitting hard, maintaining your momentum, build combos, and unleash powerful special moves. Find your own fighting style and assemble the finest brawlers you've ever seen. One more victory is all I need, and then we can move over to the European account, which we should have done quite a while ago. This game is 100% positive and 14 user reviews. It's published by Congregate. It's got a nice thumbnail. It's got a cartoony trailer video intro. Let me just skip over. So this looks like a Smash Brothers clone, which we see a lot of that, certainly. But also it seems like you have a health bar, so it's not knocking people off the side of the screen. It looks like it's a little bit of a busy experience. It may not actually be Smash Brothers platforms as much as this is a side-scrolling brawler. Single player and multiplayer. Let's see. Let's go ahead and get rid of several of these.
Start running, prey.
Yeah, it's not a Smash Brothers game. It's just a two-player side-scrolling brawler. Over 50 unique action-packed events and races. So yeah, it doesn't feel like it's a full story-based game either, though. So
I must choose. Nice to meet you.
I guess all I can say is I'll keep this game on my list. It looks very visually appealing, so it's ahead of the class. It's $19.99, 59 Steam achievements. The only little concern I have here is that maybe there's some vote manipulation at 100% positive of 14. That seems a little bit high. Usually you get at least one troll of some sort that will say something negative before you have 14 people saying something positive. My other thought is that this might be a pretty short game for $20, particularly for somebody like me who would only play it on single player mode. Next we have a game on Steam called Blind, and navigate the unfamiliar world in virtual reality using echolocation, where sounds become images. Trapped in a mansion by the devious warden, make your way through the rooms riddled with puzzles and dangers, moving ever closer, ... So this has one user review, came out yesterday. Doesn't look too bad. We've had several games that were you're a blind character and you have to you have to potentially
Strike.
Navigate your way and echolocate your way. But this one looks like it's animated pretty well. And see, I don't know if this really saves you any texturing, because you still need the 3D models, and most 3D models have textures that come with them. Can you play this without VR? No. It's 20% off for $19.99. And playing it in VR and being blind, I think, is a problem. Like, because you're blinded to reality in VR. The last thing you'd want to do is also be blinded in both scenarios. I feel like you run a high risk of just falling down. Let's see. This developer made a previous game that was 94% positive of 35 user reviews called Omen Exitio Plague. Omen Exitio, E-X-I-T-I-O Plague. Does this game require VR? No.
I wonder.
Let's start some
Seems like it's probably just a text-based game. So they went from like a text-based game to a VR game. Yeah, but even that game looks like it has more polish. It's a shame I don't have VR, because Blind really would be one I would say like maybe check it out, but have somebody watch you while you're playing so you don't fall over. Oh, and I imagine some people will just have a pretty negative response to it, just being in the dark. Like, I could certainly see a lot of people not happy with the idea of having to play a game where you're mostly in the dark, particularly when it's a slightly horrific game like Blind is. Blind is a pretty generic name too, I would say. You would probably want to do a colon there, blind colon something else. Blind colon mansion of mystery, or locked in syndrome. That might be a good one too. You could certainly think of something. Can only attack if you have 5 or more armor. Well, look at that, I do. Next game we have on Steam is called Lethal League Blaze. Looks like it's a mostly multiplayer game. Tags sports and fighting, so I feel like this probably is a Smash Bros. Well, no, it's not even a Smash Bros. Style fighting. It's just a 4-player on the ground fighting game. Now, what could happen here that would really, really suck is if they gave me a 3rd daily quest. But they didn't, so thank goodness for that. So all the daily quests are done for my main account. Now is the time to swing over to the European account. This is gonna take a long time. 30 packs of Knights of the Frozen Throne for 50% off is how they're advertising their bundle. Honestly, at this point, if somebody was gonna support my channel and buy me a bunch of the Hearthstone card packs, I would never reject that or say not be grateful for that. But now that I have a Patreon and I'd like to see more people support me through that and get away from supporting me either directly by buying games on Steam or in any other way, I think I probably should just focus more on the Patreon and try to push everybody down that direction. Let's see. Let's see the new cards. Not a new card. Not a new card. Not a new card. Not a new card. And I believe we were dusting cards like this, so I'm gonna take that dust again. I'll probably take the dust. Like, if they're giving you a free gold version of Happy Ghoul, they're pretty well telling you Happy Ghoul is never going to get nerfed. You can take that to the bank as far as, like, yeah. They aren't in 2 years going to nerf Happy Ghoul and let every single player, let's see, Druid or Hunter. I'm gonna re-roll this one. Spells. Alright. So we've got to do this Tavern Brawl to get the card pack. We got to do the Tavern Brawl later to do more things. Let's play the Druid. The vast majority of Lethal League Blazes screenshots are not actually showing the game. They have a whole collection of very interesting and nicely drawn little screenshots, but they're for the most part hiding what the game is.
Malfurion the Pestilent versus Deathstalker.
It's available on October 24th, so it's not even out yet. I don't know how I ended up looking at it then.
The circle of life is over.
Let's skip that easily enough. It's odd that I would have this guy a second time, so I don't really need him. Next, we have a game on Steam called Shooting Hearths. A brand new AI, a weapon that turns health into projectiles, and a gauntlet to test the limits how we ever make every shot count when shooting hearts. And this seems like this is a basic, just polygonal game with no textures. I think that's gonna be a new genre. It's free, so the price is right, but I think we're gonna have to define the no texture, low texture game as a just genre of low effort games. Like, because it's becoming more and more of an instance where we're seeing games where it's like, could have gotten something. Put some kind of texture there.
What you want?
Next, we have a game on Steam called Fishing Sim World. It's mixed reviews, 49% of 75 user reviews. I'm not sure how much time I'd ever put into a fishing simulator, but if I could find one that is relatively good and might have like a quick arcade mode, I wouldn't hate the idea. Although it'd probably be incredibly boring, and I don't know how many people would actually even want to watch that.
Will devour all.
I think the number is pretty low. Fishing Sim World looks very pretty. Third-party account required. $39.99. Let's see. Deluxe edition is $44.99. Let's see what the negative reviews are, because it seems like there might be some kind of microtransactions. Let's see.
Look! Look!
Let's see. Here we have a not recommended pre-release review that came out September 14th. It says this is not a new game in early access. This is basically Eurofishing 2.0. They had this game in early access for good years under the EU Eurofishing / dovetail fishing name, but has it improved? No, not at all. Same basic buggy gameplay as Eurofishing, but controls feel even worse, with added simple boats and spinning and maps. Few lakes are ported from Eurofishing. Fish fights, rod controls are still as the previous game buggy. Boats have no momentum, weight, and just stop on the spot. If you run ashore, you also can't move with your rod while on the boat. Spinning is clunky. Game is only playable in third person, as first person view is just bad due to the narrow field of view and clunky rod controls. I guess we could say that is probably enough.
The sky darkens, and your tale will end. Watch out!
Find a room.
So yeah, it seems like there's some considerable performance issues in Fishing Sim world, allegedly also known under several other names, so I'll close that. That is not the Fishing Sim game for me. And we already talked about that, so we don't need to talk about that again. We have a game on Steam called Cross Racing Championship Extreme. It seems like it's a racing game, like a car racing game or dune buggy racing game. Graphics are not up to the high standard of other racing games that I've seen. I'm also seeing some of the screenshots in not widescreen for some reason. Let's see. There's 5 user reviews right now. It's 15% off for $12.74. Let's scroll down to the user reviews, since this is going to be a longer day.
My thoughts are plagued.
Which one?
Engaging TC-130 mental dislocator.
Okay. We have a mech that we can deal. One costs spells in the hand, or
Me hungry. You yummy.
Fly or die!
So apparently this game is a 2005 game from the reviews I'm seeing, so they've just ported it to PC? I'm not sure. Yeah, it says release date June 3rd, 2005. Let's see if the developer's done anything since then. Yeah, Cross Racing Championship Extreme came out yesterday for $12.74. So they're releasing their old game. I don't see a real reason why I would know that's the name of this game. The dates are different depending on what page you're on. Interesting. Well then, I don't see anything else that they've released recently. Street Legal Racing came out in 2016. Dust Off Haley Rescue 2 came out in 2017. Yeah, I can't justify playing an old racing game. It's not, in my mind, it's not the same as like, how do I put this? If I was to go and play Diddy Kong Racing, I would think there'd be like a justification and a reason to do that out of nostalgia. Like, but if I'm gonna go play a Nintendo 64 racing game that nobody remembers. I don't think that there's any real nostalgia there, except for a very extremely niche group of people, and that's just not. And since I'm not one of that group of nostalgic people, I don't see a reason to play an old racing game. Any game series that's annualized, like a wrestling game or a sports game, like I would play NES football, and I would play 2019 or 2020 Madden. Those are probably the only two football games I'd ever play. Unless there's something like something really extreme or very special about something in the middle there that I don't know of. Gematsu has an article, Sega Genesis Classics coming to the Switch this winter, includes 50 Sega Genesis Classics. The list here could be looked up. It's just a bunch of Sega Genesis games. So, and playing them on the Switch, it's a little interesting certainly that this is where the world has come to. But, yeah, this is where the world has come to. No longer are Sega and Nintendo bitter rivals, but are instead relatively good business partners. In a lot of ways, that's just Sega getting out of the console market. We have a game on Steam called Dark Asylum Mystery Adventure. It seems like it's a hidden object game, but it wasn't really getting tagged as that because it's showing me the intro, which is a video. Yeah, it's a hidden object game of some sort. Although there seems to be a pretty large collection of things on the menu bar. What to do about hidden object games? Inherently, I kind of need to. I'm at the point where it's like it doesn't make sense to continue covering or playing hidden object games. And I have several still left. Yes. And I suppose I can do this.
Is mandatory.
Job done.
Dark Asylum is $11.99. It's in a 50 games bundle, which makes me slightly suspicious of it. But also, I think hidden object games at this point just aren't going on my wish list. Like, I don't think I'm stretching out the content I'm going to create anymore by doing hidden object games or things like that. I'm going to try and focus and put the games I cover more in line with games that I would really want to cover, and I've got a lot of games I'd really like to cover first. Next we have a game called Fiber Twig 2. It looks like it's a pipe game of sort with some very basic like 2D pictures just copy and pasted into it. Like, on the right I'm seeing this Amazonian girl, but the main part of the game is just building a pipes game. Like, that's all this is just pipes. Pipes, pipes, pipes. And it's $9.99, and I definitely don't think that that's good. You know what I need to do, now that I think about it? Let's just make a mage deck. Here. It could be wild or standard. It should be wild, actually. Yeah. Make a mage deck. Choose Frozen Throne things. Try to get as many spell cards as possible in here. which that's not going to be a lot, is it? And then this is what I need to do before anything else, is play the Frozen Throne characters and get that daily quest done first. Then play the Tavern Brawl and get the 5 Tavern Brawls. That way I'm not duplicating my efforts for no reason. Let's see, do we even need a victory? We will need a Druid and Hunter victory at some point. Or not really, I can really just get 2 things done today. So we're at rank 20 here, we might as well play ranked and just start playing this. Gametsu has a small reminder here, and this is the problem with episodic games, is The Council, Episode 4, Burning Bridges, launches September 25th. So the game The Council was a game that certainly caught a lot of people's attention. But, you know, by making it episodic, by dripping out the storyline, I don't think anybody is really remembering that it exists. And so by the time this whole story happens, I would be in a position to say in my head, like, well, now that this game is all completely out, I'm willing to purchase it, but now because this game is so old, there's really no reason to purchase it now. So instead, let's wait until it goes on sale. So I'm thinking to myself, this 5-episode game, The Council, maybe I'd pay $10 for it at most. And they probably wanted a lot more than $10 for it.
Reporting for duty.
And I wouldn't be surprised if people come out, a few people come out and say the game's not even really worth it.
Only a fool rejects the Lich King.
What a bore.
Job done.
Moving on, we have a game called Sagebrush, one word, S-H-E-E-B-R-U-S-H. A first-person narrative adventure game about exploring an occult compound in a remote New Mexico desert. That's an awkwardly timed release because there was a remote New Mexico compound that was found just a few weeks ago. Yeah, and this game came out yesterday. Discover the lives of the former inhabitants, what brought them together, and what they believe. I don't believe, though, this looks like a much bigger asset flip of a compound horror game. It looks very, very ugly in the fact that it's extremely low textures, a lot of jaggedness, a lot of just low resolution graphics for no reason. Let's see, this game they want $6.99 at the level of visual quality. I could not say more than 70 cents, even at that I think is pushing it.
You look very
And for the most part, this probably is just an asset flip game or something a little bit closer to an asset flip game than you would be comfortable with. We have a game called Distance. Distance is an atmospheric racing platformer fusing futuristic arcade racing with parkour to survive a deadly, mysterious, neon-drenched city by jumping, rotating, and flying. Okay. So I would describe it as, it looks like it's a F-Zero racing style game with probably a little less graphics than you would like, but not so terrible that I'd say it was bad immediately.
Golly, Bob, howdy. I am undead.
can we
Join me.
kill some things?
Job done.
Distance is 92% positive of 81 user reviews, and apparently it was out in beta or something because it has 2,972 user reviews over its lifetime, which are 93% positive. So yeah, 20% off for $19.99. I think Distance version 1.0 tells me that this game should be on the wish list. It also could be played in VR mode, but it's not required. Yep.
Well played.
With that high of a rating and that many people giving it that high of a rating.
Hey now!
Job done.
We definitely have to wishlist that. Next we have a game on Steam called Temple of Rust, a 2D top-down trash punk hack and slay generator with a sling. Explore procedurally seeded wasteland areas. Let's see what it really looks like. It's zoomed out too much, and that gives it the 8-bit resolution look that I am not happy with these days. I would say that this game does seem to have some effort put into it, so maybe I could convince myself to overlook the fact that I hate the way it looks, but probably not, since that's all this is going to be. It's a top-down game, you know, top-down twin stick shooter with a slingshot instead of a gun. The menu looks terrible.
Jaina versus Arthas.
For Lordaeron.
You asked for it.
Seems like if you get far enough, you'll unlock other regions where you can start further into the caves. Just gonna hold on to each one of these.
Hail and well met.
The idea of using a slingshot
The light
Hello.
is
but we
probably a terrible idea. Yeah, I really get the idea that that's just gonna slow down your progress playing a game. It took quite a while for it to jump into a point where I could even see the gameplay play. Nah, this just looks a little too boring. Temple of Rust is $12.99. If you're a fan of Spelunky and top-down twin stick games, maybe then you'd be interested in this. I'm seeing a picture here of what I assume is the developer sitting in his van that I think he lives out of. Like, which that certainly would be a new thing on Steam, certainly, to go for the go for a personal beg, basically, of saying, hey, I'm living out of a van programming this game, please buy my game.
Start some trouble.
Usually that's not the direction I go. Yeah, I can't justify wishlisting Temple of Rust though. Too many games too similar to that. Let's see. Attack. Here. Here. And return. Gamatsu has an article. Fighting EX Layer Physical Edition launches December 6th in Japan. let's see. The arcade version of the game is also planned to begin service at Japanese game centers in late November. Fighting EX Layer is now available worldwide via the PSN store. Plans for a physical edition have not been announced outside of Japan, so apparently it's not on PC, which is weird because I'm pretty sure I've heard of this game. So of course that is part of the problem of some of the news I cover, is that I do cover games that never ever will actually be on Steam, which that's a good thing. Just slightly confusing. Next we have a low effort game, I would say, called Professor Watt's Memory Match Puppies, and it's a match 2 game. Flip over the cards and match. Single screen Unity game with bad animation. 40% off for 59 cents. It's part of this bundle for $10.90, which has 59 other games in it. Like extremely low effort games, or at least low effort games. Not worth wishlisting or looking at. Gamatsu has another cool arcade archives. Versus Excitebyte launches September 21st in Japan. I think Versus Excitebyte would have only been available in arcades as part of the Nintendo Versus series in the early 80s. So yeah, it's gonna launch on the Nintendo eShop for the Switch. There's nothing here that indicates that they've announced anything for the rest of the world. Versus Excitebyte is probably not too different from regular Excitebyte, but interesting. That might come to the Nintendo eShop. A lot of things potentially are going to come to the Nintendo eShop now that the online service is coming out. Alright, so I need to place mini cards as possible. So we do this,
For the master.
this, and in return we have a game on Steam called Salaryman Escape. Salaryman being a Japanese term for employees who work for a salary and have very little chance in the Japanese employment system to really get anywhere ahead in life or have any kind of fun or be happy. You know, the phrase probably should come to the rest of the world, because there's a lot of people in the United States that I would classify as salaryman too. The description here is: tired of work, feeling trapped at your position with no hope of promotion, vent out your frustration with Salaryman Escape, a satirical and edgy physics puzzle game about helping a disgruntled salaryman escape his miserable life. So what this seems like is almost like a VR game where you are moving Tetris pieces in this surreal world and helping this little shadow character go from one point to another point. Almost for its story, I would have a slight interest in playing this if it's not too expensive. Also, I like puzzle games, and this doesn't seem like a terrible puzzle. At certain points, you're trying to get more than one salaryman to escape, and you're having him avoid managers and bosses seeing him.
Smelly fish! Yummy fish!
The sun has set for me.
Just play all the cards and So does this require VR? It can be played in VR. It's 15% off for $9.34.
Which path to choose?
Let's see, optional VR mode. Alright, so I'm gonna put Salaryman Escape on Steam on the wish list. It's a little too expensive right now. Like, let's be honest about that. It's too much money at $9.34 for a puzzle game that really has no reason to be in VR in the first place. But I like the concept. I like the implication there. It might very well be a joke game, so more reviews would be happy to see. Alright, so where are we now? We've gone an hour and 20 minutes in the second recording, and we've made no progress on winning a game with Druid and Hunter. We've cast 5 out of 25 spells, and we've done 22 out of 40 cards. So 1 or 2 more games to play the Knights of the Frozen Throne game cards, and then that'll give me the secondary Tavern Brawl decks. What very possibly is going to happen here is I'm going to run out of news, and then this is for the first time in a real long time going to justify a silent post show. Just straight up playing the game and not talking, because yeah, the 5 Tavern Brawls as an issue are a big issue. I suppose I could save some of them if I get the other 2 things done. I could save some for Friday, and that might be a slightly more efficient way to do things, but I probably shouldn't do that. Get this 300 gold while you can get it. The fact that they're giving me so much gold is a little weird too. It feels like, oh no, here comes another expansion, and that may very well be the case. Anyways, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.